For those of you who aren't aware, Gwen Stacy is Spider-Man's original love interest. Mary Jane doesn't come in until way later, before Gwen dies in the comics. Furthermore, the Green Goblin isn't a primary villain until years after Spider-Man started.
Yes.
So, the rumors that there would be yet another Goblin in the reboot were immediately crushed when they announced that I actually can't pronounce his name. Rhys Ifans. He'll be playing Kurt Connor's the Lizard.
Yes.
Which is somebody that we've been looking forward to seeing.
Mm-hmm. Which my thing was, for the first 3 movies, when I saw the original 3 Spider-Man, I wanted to see Lizard. Mm-hmm. Because I read Spider-Man when I was a kid. One of the few comics I did read. And that was my favorite villain. I loved Lizard.
Yeah, I was very excited to hear this. A buddy of mine at work and I were debating between whether or not he would play Connors or whether or not he would play Electro, which was the other rumored character.
And of the 2, I think Lizard is the better character to put on there for the first time.
I agree. I think that Electro would add to a more visually stimulating movie, but Connors will definitely make it nice and dark. Mm-hmm. And Marvel is at its best when it's at its darkest. I had a note for Captain America that I forgot to mention while we were doing it.
Yeah.
Howard Stark is in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So they are going to be. I mean, we already knew they were connecting all the Marvel movies now.
Yes.
Or trying to do their best. And Howard Stark is in the movie, being played by Dominic Cooper, who was the young love interest in Mamma Mia.
Yes, he was.
So, as long as he doesn't sing, we should be okay.
Yeah.
To end off our Marvel listing, we have the Avengers.
Yes. Which I will say I'm looking forward to, because I think a lot of comic book fans have been looking forward to something like this. Because we never thought that something like this could actually occur.
Right.
That you could combine all these talents and efforts into one cohesive movie.
And the way that they're doing it, it's not just a complete separate movie. They're bringing everything together, combining all of the characters the way it should be, building up a catchphrase. We're putting a team together.
Yeah.
And they're bringing that team together in May 2012.
Yes.
So we have Chris Pine from Thor.
Yep.
We have Chris Evans from Cap.
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. from Iron Man. Yep. We have Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye. Scarlett Johansson will be back as the Widow. We have Mark Ruffalo as the recasted Hulk.
Yes.
I don't really know much that he's done, but I know that Marvel and Edward Norton had their differences, and somebody said that they wouldn't work with the other person.
Yes,
anymore.
Which really upsets me, because Robert Downey Jr. and Edward Norton are on very good terms with each other. Okay. And they wanted to star in the movie together, and Edward Norton was looking forward to doing Avengers. Okay. And then when Marvel and 20th Century Fox came out and said they were going to go a different way with it, he was shattered. I don't blame Edward Norton on this anyway. He wasn't looking for any money in this, from what I was told by one of my good sources who does work in Austin, Texas. Okay. He wasn't looking for any particular money with this movie. He just wanted to be a part of it because he thought it'd be something historical in the making.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. And the fact that he is not being in this, I wouldn't say broke his heart, but it really, really disappointed him.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, I don't know what they've done with who this guy they've recasted as Hulk. I don't know who he is. Hopefully he'll do a good job. But, you know.
I know he's in chick flicks. That's all I got.
Yeah. So.
I don't know what this movie's about yet. I don't know who the primary villain is. I know that Sammy J will be back in his trench coat. And that's really all I've got. I don't have any imagery on costume design other than what we have from other movies. I don't know if they'll be bringing in anybody else. Ant-Mans, Wasps, Wolverines, or any form of spider.
Yeah.
I highly doubt it. As it stands, it looks like a decent cast. We haven't seen what some of these actors can bring to the table as their characters, but we will.
But, you know, we've got to get through several more sequels before we can get to the Avengers, obviously, and a few more movies to get through the Avengers.
No more sequels.
Yeah, well, we got to get through a few more Marvel movies to get to the Avengers.
Yep, but I'm thrilled that it looks like Marvel will be beating DC in the race. Getting the Avengers before the Justice League.
Yes. Now, I don't think Justice League will ever occur. Personally,
I think the way that they're doing Batman, it's going to be hard because Superman is such a high CGI production movie.
It is
so out there, and when you discuss the difference between Marvel and DC, Marvel nowadays tries to be more realistic, whereas DC has always tried to be idealistic.
Yes.
And it's very much the polar with Batman and Superman.
Yes.
You've got the cop movie, and then you've got this super alien who flies and brands an S on his chest.
And that is one of the... I will say this for later review. Well, that's one of the brilliant things you can compare Superman Returns to The Dark Knight, which is kind of an unfair comparison, but just the way they're shot, and that Christopher Nolan hates CG. He really hates it. He would much rather film something real and tangible over something that could be cheap, but can be done with a computer. You watch The Dark Knight, and nearly all of the action scenes in that movie, a lot of them are very, pan cam. There's a lot of big effects, but they're all practical effects. They're all things you can do on a Hollywood set.
See, it wasn't even that I was thinking of. It was Inception, and there really wasn't a whole lot of CGI in that movie.
There wasn't.
And that is something I really like. That his movies are very realistic. It's something that I could see happening.
Yes.
I mean, I don't want a psycho clown coming up and shooting up the place, but it could happen.
Yes, it could.
So I guess with that, we're moving on to...
I can make a Tucson joke, but I won't do that at this time.
Too soon.
Too soon. Okay. And on that note, we're gonna go to DC.
So we start off that this year, this July, Captain America will be fighting for rights with the Green Lantern. So
now
we have that starring Ryan Reynolds,
yes,
which I touched on earlier. Mm-hmm. I don't know that he's the proper choice for that Lantern.
I completely agree.
He is the choice for a Lantern, just not that one.
I agree. When I first heard about this, I was shocked because it was rumored, like I said earlier, that DC was going to do a Flash movie.
And that he would be
I thought Ryan Reynolds would be the perfect Flash.
There had been all kinds of rumors that he was going to do that. And after he signed on to the GL movie, he revealed that there was never actually any discussion about doing that movie. Mm-hmm. He said everybody assumed that I was doing it, and nobody ever came to me and said, do you want to do a Flash movie?
Yeah.
Which he would be perfect at, because Flash is a big wise ass.
Yeah.
And for those of you who saw Blade Trinity, hello, my name is ...
Yeah.
Probably just the basic Green Lantern story. Alien hits the planet, gives him a ring, he goes to save the world.
Yeah.
Now, the biggest issue with this movie that people are having is not even Reynolds himself, but the suit.
The suit, yes.
And for weeks, I was having an issue figuring out what was bothering me about this suit. And somebody finally said it. A customer at work finally said it. The suit looks like Spawn.
And when Paul brought this up, I looked at it and I said, you are completely right. When I saw Spawn as a kid, I loved it just for the way the effects looked. And while, it doesn't really hold up to today's standards, Paul might disagree, the suit for its time looked pretty damn cool. Mm-hmm. Now, I look at Green Lantern, and the effects for Green Lantern look like the suit effects from Spawn.
Very much
I completely agree with Paul.
I did save a couple pictures just because Mike had mentioned the way it grows over his body in the one scene in the trailer. It very much it looks like a living organism.
It does.
Which may be what they're going for with the story, and if so, and they can make it work right, fine. But really, you could have just given him some black spandex, some glowing green effects over his body. This is a movie that you absolutely should have the most CGI you can grab.
Yeah.
and go from there. From there, I don't know too much about the Green Lantern. I'm not a DC fan.
I'll say a bit about this. When I was a kid, I was a big fan of Green Lantern. Him fighting Sinestro and Mongol and some of his big villains.
Alright, so it looks like the primary villain is going to be Hector Hammond, and then probably followed up by Sinestro in the end.
By Mark Strong, which I think is great casting as Sinestro. Mm-hmm. I've really liked him recently in a few movies, especially in Kick-Ass and Sherlock Holmes, which I thought he was great in.
He was good in Sherlock Holmes.
Yes, he was.
Who was he in Kick-Ass? Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yes, he was the mob boss in Kick-Ass. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Before we get off of Green Lantern, I was going to say, when I was a kid, I was following Green Lantern a lot when I was a kid, and all the main villains. However, only recently have I gotten back into it with the Blackest Night and Brightest Day series.
Right.
Which, I know you're not a DC fan, but if any of you are DC fans,
I have been told to
very
look into them.
Good series.
I have been told to look into them by a fellow comic fan at work. He understands that I don't favor DC, but that I appreciate a good story. So
Yes.
he has suggested them to me, and
Yes.
once I've finished.
And the story is phenomenal. Just what you see with some of the black rings in that series is just like, all the other colored rings are f***ed.
The theory that me and my friend at work have is that they're going to start the movie with green and yellow, and then they'll end the trilogy with either Parallax or Blackest Night.
Yeah.
So we're not actually sure, but one of my issues with Ryan Reynolds as the Green Lantern is that when I look at an actor and a character, I think of all the different possibilities that character has gone through in the comics.
Yeah.
And I couldn't see Thomas Jane as the Punisher ever going after Spider-Man, or the guy who was in the Punisher sequel being a nice guy. I can't see Ryan Reynolds as Parallax, even though I've seen him in Amityville Horror.
Yeah.
Yes, he's good with an axe, but I can't see him as this overpowered supervillain trying to destroy the world.
Yeah.
Having said that, I really don't have much else to say. He's a great actor, and I'm hoping that he lives up to this. But
Now, most recently, I saw him in the movie Buried, which I don't know if you got to see.
No.
Which was actually very good. One of his best performances I've ever seen.
Isn't he just in a box the whole time?
Yes. The 90% of the movie is him in a box. But the movie was actually quite good, but it does end on a really sobering kind of up note.
Okay.
I won't say what it is now. I won't ruin it. But he was very good in it.
Okay.
That's all I'll say about it. So he could bring something good to this because, I'll be the first to say this. When I found out Heath Ledger was cast as a Joker, I didn't think he was going to do anything good.
That's true.
And now that's like the biggest thing you could say about any actor now. It's their potential.
Absolutely.
And on that note, we are going to go to The Dark Knight Rises.
Yes, we are. And the biggest news in that is Anne Hathaway.
Yes, I just found out about this not last night from Paul. And I checked my sources. Yes, this is completely true. And I don't know what to say about this, really.
I found out yesterday afternoon from a drag queen. I had to look it up. It was confirmed. I said, damn you, Pandora.
See, that's my thing. I have some friends who live in Austin, Texas, who work in the film industry. I have a couple friends who live out in Hollywood. I sometimes get my sources from them. Paul gets very reliable sources from a drag queen.
We make the world go round. So we have Anne Hathaway cast as Selena Kyle.
Yes.
We don't know if Anne Hathaway is cast as Catwoman. We just know that it's Selena.
Yeah.
Now, I have seen Anne Hathaway in plenty of movies. She was in Brokeback Mountain as a bitch. She was in The Devil Wears Prada as, a naive young girl coming into herself. Mm-hmm. She can do this movie. She can absolutely do this movie.
Yes.
I don't know if she can do Catwoman, but I know that she can do Selena. Mm-hmm. Now, the original theories, what I had heard in the past was that Nolan said that he would never do Robin, that he would never do Catwoman.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping he doesn't go back on the first one, because that never makes a movie good.
Yeah, I agree.
But I can't say I'm disappointed about this casting. I was nervous that he was going to put in Angelina Jolie, and I thought that if, I don't not like Angelina Jolie, but I really thought that if she was in it, it would overpower the rest of the movie.
Now, on that point, I think that was just a lot of fanboys wetting their pants wanting to get Angelina Jolie as Catwoman.
Absolutely.
It's the same people who were saying that Megan Fox was going to be Catwoman.
That's disgusting.
Christopher Nolan came out the minute that rumor came up, and he said she will not be in any of my movies.
Well, a couple years ago, right after The Dark Knight came out, it was released that, or it was quote-unquote leaked, that they had already started casting for The Dark Knight Rises.
Yes.
As of yet named conclusion to Christopher Nolan's Batman, in which they would cast Shia LaBeouf as Robin and Eddie Murphy as the Riddler.
Yes.
To which Nolan immediately jumped on and said, Robin will never be in any of my movies.
Yep.
And the Riddler is in black.
Yeah.